Hello, my fellow explorers. Welcome to episode 2 of, what am I calling this? Europe Extravaganza 2019. So I left Reykjavik this morning and got to Dublin. So guess who I'm with? Eriana's back, so you know it's gonna be a good time. We are currently in Howth, which is
a town outside of Dublin City.
Yeah, and so you took about an hour bus ride to get here, or train ride to get here, but it's a cute little beach town that has some really popular walks to do, and it is a gorgeous day. Like, you couldn't have asked for a more perfect weather day to do this. So we're going exploring this evening. We watched The Bachelorette earlier, so that's what we do when we hang out. But now we're just going on this walk, so yeah, let's go.
I'm back.
So something that I failed to explain to you is that the reason I just assumed that you guys would know being in Dublin means being with Eriana, but I didn't explain that. So Eriana's actually been in Dublin for the past 2 months doing an internship for her master's program. Little Miss Smarty over here actually technically already got her master's because
I'm efficient.
But she wanted to do a study abroad experience, which, like, more power to her. And so I used that as an excuse to come stay with her, because who doesn't like free lodging? And I'm half Irish, and I've never been here, so.
You're half Irish?
Oh yeah.
I did not know
Technically,
that.
We don't actually have, like, foolproof, like, we've never done, like, a genealogy backtrack, but I'm supposed to, like, my mom's side is German 100%. We know most of my dad's side is Irish. So most of this 4-day trip that we're in Dublin, I'm actually going to be doing my own thing while Eriana finishes up her program and has to go to work every day. So, like, tomorrow I'm doing like a guided tour that takes you all the way across Ireland to the cliffs of Moher, and then
Moher.
I've heard, most times I've heard people talk about it, I've heard Moher.
Moher.
That's what I thought. I always thought it was the cliffs of Moher, and then everyone says Moher. So who knows? Maybe
the accent.
We'll find out tomorrow, I guess. But anyway, then we're doing that. I'm doing that tomorrow, and the next day I'm doing, like, a Dublin tour. So Erin will be around some.
In the evening, after work.
In the evening, and then Friday we're doing some stuff too. And then comes episode 3, which is Spain, which we're doing together. Good morning, friends. So we still haven't figured out how it's pronounced yet, officially, but I am at the cliffs of Moher, and it's literal insanity. So it makes sense that the Princess Bride was filmed here for their cliffs of insanity, and so was Harry Potter in the 6th movie when Dumbledore's, like, standing over the ledge when they're going to go search for the Horcrux. So I'm here. It's gorgeous, and I feel like I'm gonna fall down constantly. It's very windy and very scary. Yeah, so this was about a 3-hour bus ride from Dublin City Center to here. We stopped at this really cool place, side note. There's a town called Donegal, and it's known as the place where Obama's great-grandfather was born. And he came back in 2011 to visit, and he met his 8th cousin, and they've built, like, an entire gas station called the Barack Obama Plaza, and it's amazing. There's a museum in the 2nd floor all about his time there, and it was amazing. There's even a sculpture that they built last year. It was the greatest 10 minutes of my life. It cracks me up. The entire thing is basically like a meme. Like, he just showed up, he made some bad jokes, like, he drank, and so did Michelle, and it was a good time. We are going to Galway on the way back, which I'm really excited about because it's supposed to be super cute, and then we're gonna see some other stuff on the way back, so let's go. Cliffs of Moher. The Cliffs of Moher are one of Ireland's most visited sites, with about 1.5 million visitors each year. The sea cliffs run for about 14 kilometers or 9 miles from the south end up to the north end, and can reach up to 214 kilometers high, or 702 feet. From various vantage points, it is possible to locate the Aran Islands and even some mountain ranges. The cliffs are part of the Burren and Cliffs of Moher UNESCO Geopark, and it's also a special protected area for wildlife, including 35 species of birds.
We then see the first people arriving here, we believe about 8,000 or 9,000 years ago. And these people are essentially prehistoric people, hunter-gatherer types if you like. We don't know a huge amount about them, but they do leave amazing reminders of their existence on this land today, that exist right up until today. The most common type of reminder of the ancient Irish people that we have are burial places. And the most common type of burial places we have are these things called dolmens. Now dolmens are all over the landscape of Ireland, 2 or 3 big standing stones with a big flat stone on top, not unlike say Stonehenge in England. These ancient Irish people, they lived relatively uninterrupted until about 1000 BC. Then we have the arrival of the Gauls, or Gallic people, or Celtic people from northern France. And with them they bring their culture, they bring their music, they bring their art, and they bring their language. Gaelic, or Gaelic, or a derivative of that we have today, our national language, Irish, the potato crop. It was the one thing that would feed the peasant society of Ireland. It was the only thing that would grow in these small plots of land that would feed these big families. So Ireland was so reliant on it. And once this potato sickness hit Europe, Ireland got worse hit than anywhere else in the world. At least 1 million people died. Think about that in the space of 4 years. At least 1 million people left this country. At least. Census figures are murky. So Ireland's population decreased by at least 2 million. Ireland's population as a whole island before the famine was in and around 8 million. Today, as a whole island, it's coming up to about 6.75 million. Ireland is still technically recovering from the famine today. We're one of the only countries in the world today that has less of a population now than we did in the 19th century. That's as a direct result of the famine. 1973, we do a very clever thing here in Ireland. We join the EU, and then the Germans and the French and other European countries give us loads of money for no reason. We then start to build lots of big roads here in Ireland, and we start to get a good infrastructure, and things start to improve here in Ireland. Ireland starts to emerge as an attractive place to do business. Here's what we had going for us here in Ireland: a fantastic education system, one of the only English-speaking nations in the EU. We now have nice roads thanks to Europe, and we offer a good corporate tax rate. So it became known as the Celtic Tiger. It was when Ireland went from being the poorest country in Europe to the 4th richest country per capita in the world in 0 time. We had never had money in this country. We didn't know what to do with it during the early noughties. We were all waking up every morning and pouring champagne on our cornflakes. We were going skiing. Irish people ski. It was just all wrong. But then of course 2008 happens, and we all know about 2008. It was not a uniquely Irish situation, but Ireland was the worst hit English-speaking nation in the world in the financial crisis. Thankfully though, in the last 5 years or so, things have shifted massively again here in Ireland. Talking fast, and the accent is very much reflecting the environment that it started within, right up around here. But then if you go down to Cork, down in the southwest, well, it's an entirely different story. My accent's much more wide and open and breathy. And again, that makes sense because my accent evolved in this lovely wide open space, even down to the detail of how wide my mouth goes when I talk. It's all because of where my accent evolved. And it kind of like sounds like the hills all around Cork, kind of up and down like that. Then we'll go to England for a second. So go to London, right? Anyone go to London, right? It's a very tight nasal accent, right? And that makes sense because in London, everyone's living on top of each other. They're all talking loud. They're all talking fast. It's all right up around here. But then if you go up to Yorkshire, up north, Well, it's kind of like the Cork accent in a way, very open, very wide, and very breathy. And again, that makes sense because in Yorkshire, well, it's a lovely wide open space, and that's reflected in the voice. And it kind of sounds like the Yorkshire Dales, kind of up and down like that, you know, kind of musical. We go to Scotland as well for the fun. So we go to Glasgow, right? That's very tight, very nasal, right over right here. Very kind of tense and very all about the city and like loud and all that. But then if you go to the Highlands, well, it's a lovely wide open bouncy accent, lovely musical accent.
So the walking tour was actually amazing. The tour group that I did is called Sandeman, and it's actually a free walking tour. All of the guides do not get paid by the company. They are entirely paid on tips. It's really up to the tour guides to give a really good tour. So if you're not happy with it and you feel like they weren't the best at it, then you have your discretion to tip them how you feel, which I think is a really good concept because my tour guide, his name is Stephen Wilson, was amazing. We talked about podcasts and YouTube in between walking to different sections. He's very knowledgeable. He's from the area. He made it very personable. He said he's the only tour guide of the Sandeman's group that takes you to the Oscar Wilde statue in Marion Park, I think is what it's called, because it's one of his favorite authors and he gives the history of it and talks about the statue and points to where his house is, and so you really learn a lot. It's just a very personal experience. It's about 1:30 now. I am currently sitting outside of the National Museum of Archaeology because everyone's been talking about it, and it has a lot of the artifacts that they found a couple blocks away when they were about to be able to build a building, and they found a bunch of Viking artifacts from when they first came over. And then they have a lot of mummies and different things that have been preserved in bogs, which it sounds weird as I say it out loud, but I just think it's really, really cool just the way that bogs exist. They are really good at preserving anything, so that people have been found like at the bottom of bogs from centuries and centuries ago, and you can still see like hair follicles, and they don't look just like skeletons like mummies do, just because of the chemicals that are in the bogs that preserve them, which I just think is really cool. After that, I'm gonna go to Chester Beatty Museum and see where the rest of the night goes. Let's go look at some mummies. Found the infamous bog butter from Tumblr, and I'm so excited. This butter is 3,500 years old. The mummies were also really, really cool. I'm just not gonna film them, but the bog butter has me shooken. So now on to Chester Beatty. Chester Beatty was established in 1950 by Sir Alfred Chester Beatty. Beatty spent his entire life collecting manuscripts and books and paintings and other artifacts from all over the world, and the museum is home to one of the most significant collections of Western, Islamic, and East and Southeast Asian artifacts. The thing that surprised me the most was that there was such a huge variety of artifacts to look at. At every turn there was something new to look at, and everything was so beautifully colored and so well preserved. If on your trip to Ireland, seeing the Book of Kells is high up on your list, then this museum definitely should be as well. Or if you don't want to see the Book of Kells or are looking for a different alternative, I think this museum is actually a better option. Not only is it free, but it has hundreds of ancient and priceless artifacts rather than just one.
So it is Friday, currently my last day in Ireland, and it's actually pretty late in the afternoon. It's like after 5 o'clock. We've been just really busy today. We got to sleep in a little bit because Eriana's done with her program today. And so we've been doing some of the touristy stuff that she hasn't gotten to do yet. So early afternoon we went to Kilmainham Gaol, which if you have the chance to go, I highly, highly, highly recommend. It's super interesting. It's about this really old jail from the late 1700s until like the early 1900s, but it's most known for housing a large portion of the rebels in the 1916 Easter Week Rebellion. They had 140 executions. What's really crazy about it is that during the Great Famine, so many people preferred to be in this jail rather than not, because it was the difference between having something and having nothing. People were so poor and so hungry that at least when you were in jail, you were promised food and shelter. And so they had people as young as 5 years old in the jail at one point. Anyway, I just thought it was super interesting. If you get a student discount, it's like €4 plus $1 processing fee. Book it in advance for sure, so you can get a specific time, because it fills up fast, because they only offer tours. You can't just pay to walk around. But anyway, highly recommend it. That's what we did earlier today. Right now, we are doing the most stereotypical of all of the Irish tours, which is at the Guinness Storehouse Museum, which, another thing I highly recommend. Today has been full of fun-filled museums, because it is more expensive, but it's definitely worth it. It's just like a really well laid out, well planned, well organized, well documented museum. And it's kind of like there's levels to it. There's like 7 levels of the entire museum. A couple of them are kind of like restaurant bar levels, but it just like keeps going and going and going. And it's very well displayed, very well organized. And I just highly recommend it. We went to the Guinness Academy. They teach you how to pour the perfect Guinness, and then you get a plaque. So that's what we did. So we're drinking your Guinness. It's been a really good afternoon. After this, we are gonna go find some food, and then we'll probably be close to the end of our Ireland excursion before we leave for Spain very, very early in the morning tomorrow. So yeah, if I don't vlog again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe down below. Let me know if you guys have ever been to Ireland and what you guys thought of it, what your favorite part was, and I will see you guys next time in Spain. Happy exploring.